Welcome, welcome everyone. Welcome. Come on in.
Hey there, how are you?
I'm good. Hi, Carol Sue. Having a good day?
Yeah, so. You must be tired from all the traveling.
Yesterday was a little rough. Today's a little better. Thank you for asking. As everyone's joining, I want to say happy Cinco de Mayo. And our question of the day is, what's your favorite Mexican food and why? Mine would be fajitas, steak fajitas, because I love good steak fajitas and all the fun toppings that you get to put on it. Somebody else.
Fried ice cream or chulos?
Fried ice cream. I didn't think about that, Dawn. That's a great option. That is a great option. I might change mine. Anybody else? Favorite Mexican food for Cinco de Mayo? We're having for dinner tonight. My husband is making cheese stuffed poblano peppers, which is another one of my favorite meals.
Love cheese enchiladas.
Oh yeah.
But you gotta have the rice and beans. You gotta have a complete meal.
Yeah. My husband has been he's made refried beans for years. My husband is the big cook around here. And he's been making refried beans for years, but he has started, I'd say the last year or so, making them in the Instant Pot. And they turn out very, very well.
That's great.
Yeah. Anybody else? Happy Cinco de Mayo favorite Mexican food?
Well, of course, margaritas.
You have to have a good margarita, right? Hey, Dawn, I'm seeing some rubber gloves. Are you gonna participate today? Awesome. That's fantastic. I'm so excited to see that.
I just went to the Joann Fabrics and bought the paint.
Nice.
Alcohol ink.
Yep, that's where I got mine. I'm gonna share my screen. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. And
Yes.
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get started because there's a lot to cover. This is my first time teaching the alcohol painting class. So always on my first time launching, I always wonder about my pacing. I've got about 20 minutes worth of videos, how-to videos that I'm going to show you while we're doing this. So we've got a lot to get through. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, even though I know people will still be joining us. Are there any questions before I get started? All right, so go ahead.
Is it real messy?
It can be.
Good.
Watch my videos and tell me what you think when you get done. So I will say that I had you'll see my tray, I used a metal dollar store cookie sheet, which is a relatively small cookie sheet for my surface area. And I was on a plastic covered card table, and I was glad that I was on a black plastic card table because I did splatter some. So I would say it can be, although I will also say I'm a bit of a messy, so maybe you won't have quite the same problems that I do. So I'm Sarah. Welcome to Chihuly Inspired Alcohol Painting on Glass. You will know by the end of this session that I am not Chihuly. So, however, this is a picture of Chihuly, the artist over here on the right, and he's standing in front of one of his pieces of glass art. And I chose this picture for this front shot because this really reminds me of what the completed alcohol ink projects can look like. So I am Sarah. I spent 22 years in K-12 education. I'm a recently retired elementary principal, spent 2 years with Michigan State University, and I live by quotes, and I believe that people can do the best people can do. Let me try that one more time. People do the best they can with what they know. And when they know better, they do better. And I love this quote, and I love how it matches with Get Set Up's philosophy of reaching older adults. I just think it's a perfect match. Get Set Up helps you learn from useful skills from people like you and me so that we can do wonderful things together. We learn from each other. There may be people in this class today that have much more experience with Alcohol Inc. than I do, and I would love to have your input. It helps me when your cameras are on and I can see you. It actually, believe it or not, helps my hearing a little bit too, if I can watch you as you're talking to me. But of course, if you want to keep your cameras off, that's okay. If we get all done today and you say, oh my gosh, I wish I could remember what she said about blank, just know that you can request a copy of today's recording. All you have to do is send an email to help@getsetup.io and say you want just the Alcohol Inc. glass painting class from Sarah, and they'll send that right to you. You don't have to remember all the Chihuly stuff. If you're joining by live stream, I'd like to welcome you here today, and I'm glad you're with us. If you would like to be interactive with me, however, you will want to go to the website, the getsetup.io website, and register through there. And then you can join us by Zoom and interact with me in person. Get Set Up nor I am paid to promote specific products, but I'm going to be talking about several of them today. Just know that nobody's endorsing Get Set Up nor myself to promote these products. If you would like to ask a question, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask it or type it in the chat box. Also, I have John with me today. John is my teacher's assistant. He's fantastic with technology, so if you have any problems along those lines, John can help you. You can type to him in the chat box as well. John, would you like to say hello?
Hello, everybody.
Hi, John. Thanks for being with us. We appreciate you. So this is what we're going to be covering today. Why should we use Alcohol Inc. at all? And what is it? What are the steps to creating a complete project, and what are the benefits of sealing a completed project? Is there anything in particular anyone would like to share that they're interested specifically in learning about painting with Alcohol Inc.? And you can answer, by unmuting yourself, or you can type it in the chat box. I'll try to monitor both. How many of you have had some experience with Alcohol Inc. in the past? Anyone? This has been a new venture for me as well. All right. Well, that helps me know what your knowledge level is. Now, so what happened was Donna, one of the other guides, is doing a class right now called The Colorful World of Chihuly. And she explores specifically Chihuly's glass art. And if you'd like to take her class, I've got at the end, I think it's May 15th is the next time she's guiding that class. But she texted me and she said, is there anything that you can do that would be a craft that would align with this? And I said, I'd love to do something with alcohol art on glass. So I needed to find out a little bit about Chihuly, and I found out he's an American glass sculptor as well as an entrepreneur. He has outstanding artistic merit in the field of blown glass, which I think is absolutely fascinating. And he makes very large sculptures, not just small and intricate ones, but like tops of whole buildings from what I've seen. It mentioned in the article I was reading that the technical difficulties of working with glass forms are considerable, but he uses it as a primary medium for his work. So I thought that was absolutely fascinating. I was glad when I was prepping for this that I didn't have to blow the glass before I used it. So why should you use Alcohol Inc.? Well, what it is it's a highly pigmented, which means it has very deep color, alcohol-based ink. It is translucent and it's solvent-based. So what that means is it's not water-based, and that's a very important tidbit, I guess, to get in your mind is if you get it on your skin and you go to the sink and you wash it with water, The only part that's going to move away is the part that's still damp, because you have to use a solvent to get rid of it. And there's several different solvents, but the easiest one to use, which is what I recommended in our the getting ready for the class information on the website, is isopropyl alcohol. It works great as a solvent. And in case you've forgotten, any of you that have been through a pandemic in the last year, lots of hand sanitizers have a basis of isopropyl alcohol in them. So hand sanitizer works very well, and you're going to actually see a demonstration on that later on. Now, you can use it on any hard surface. I'm going to be demonstrating it on two surfaces today, glass and plastic paper. I did the plastic paper just so I could try some techniques, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute, but you can also use it on metal, ceramic, stone, leather, polymer clay, shrinky dink plastic. You can color on that and shrink it in your oven. Really anything that's very smooth. What it doesn't work well on is porous things like cardboard, ordinary paper, those types of things, because it soaks right in and it loses some of the exciting qualities when you put it on something that's porous. Once it's on a surface, the alcohol evaporates very quickly. So you have to work somewhat quickly with this as a medium, and it leaves the ink behind. In fact, the evaporation, if you actually light it with a match or a lighter while it's still wet, it'll burn. And that's one of the techniques that I'm not demonstrating today, but it's that flammable that you could literally set it on fire while you were using it. We're going to talk about safety as well. And you can mix it for different colors. And there's also different kinds of alcohol ink. Like the one that's in this picture over here to the right is alcohol pearls. And it has a pearlescent additive put in it that makes it look more pearly when you use it. And I do use it on one of the projects that you'll see today. Any questions on alcohol ink itself as a product? Okay, so here's some of the supplies. This is my supply tray before I got started. And this cookie sheet that's right here I got from the dollar store, and I chose this to use for my surface because I figured when I got all done, if I wanted to throw it away, I could. I'm not going to throw it away, but I'll keep it for future alcohol ink projects. I won't ever use it as a cookie sheet again because that would not be safe. I'm going to use a hairdryer today in the demonstration. You can see the rubbing alcohol. It is recommended on many of the sites to use a 91% or higher rubbing alcohol. You can use the lower percentage. I think if I remember correctly, this extends the drying life. It also makes the ink go farther, makes it a little bit more movable on your surface. It was a lot of fun working with the rubbing alcohol. I applied it two different ways in the video. I applied it with a dropper. You can see my eyedropper here, and I have a little, it's a little 1 ounce cup, plastic cup that I was using. I used a spray bottle. I filled that spray bottle with the rubbing alcohol. I used that, and I also used some Q-tips. Down here, you'll see, here's the regular alcohol inks. Here's a picture of the pearls. There's also metallics. There may be another kind or two that I can't. Oh, there's some alloys also. And then this is what they call Yupo paper. Yupo is spelled Y-U-P-O. This is also Yupo paper, but it's a different brand, and it literally is plastic. I bought this in 5x7 sheets off of Amazon. And then what I did was I cut each sheet in half. So I was only when I was practicing, I was only working with a small piece of paper at a time. And I kept all of my trial pieces when I got done, and I'll use these in my scrapbooking and card making. So that it's a great way to practice. And if you make cards, it doesn't go to waste. So that was a good thing. Any questions on supplies? So I wanted to give you an overview. This is really, if you want to just remember the steps, this is really all you need to have in your mind. You simply wipe down your surface, like in this case glass jars with a paper towel and rubbing alcohol and let it dry. And then you apply your ink, and that's where there's many, 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 many variations. You allow that to dry, and then if you want to, you can seal that. And I'll show you some sealers later on, but to me, what looked like the best option is this Krylon Kmart varnish, which is water soluble, and it doesn't make the ink react again when you use a water-based spray on a dried project. So those are the basic steps. Now we're going to go into a little bit more detail. These are all things that I made. Actually, I made all of these yesterday. Had quite a day videotaping and making things yesterday. So this is one of those glass blocks that I got from, I think I got it from Hobby Lobby on a 50% off coupon. And I used the drip method, the drip and spray method on this. I'm going to show you how to do that. Then when I got done, I put a tea light in the bottom and a bow around it. That bow I actually had kept from a gift. So that was a very inexpensive addition to my block to make it pretty. These colors go with my dining room, so I'm anxious to use it in there. So there's the drip and spray method, and there's the drip and drip method where you drip the ink and then drip the alcohol onto it. There is smooshing, and smooshing, you'll see a little bit more about that in detail in a minute, but these salt shakers, salt and pepper shakers I got from the dollar store, and I used smooshing when I made those. Plastic wrap is one that's a lot of fun, and if you've got a project and you're going to do it along with me today, this might be the one that you want to try. Both of these glasses were done with smooshing. This one, the one that's got the same colors as this, is a glass. It's made of glass. This one is actually made of plastic. So you can see it, worked on both surfaces equally as well. And then there's blotting using a cosmetic sponge, which is what you see here. And then this one is using a cosmetic sponge and blotting over a stencil. And I'm going to try to demonstrate all of these today. So we'll get going. Any questions before I start in with the techniques? Okay, so this was my setup for trying the drip technique. And I started with my paper. So I took my cookie sheet, got all my supplies ready. And these were the two products that I made. Now in the video, when I show you the video, you're going to see this one on the right done prior to adding these other colors. So my question when I started was, what would one color look like if I do various things with it? And then later on, I thought, gee, now that this is dry, if I add more ink to it, if I spray it with alcohol, what's going to change? And I got some of these really awesome effects by adding more ink and spraying it later on. But I want to show you the video of this technique on paper first, and then I'll show you how I did it on the glass block. Let me, of using alcohol ink, a single color. I'm going to using Wild Plum, and I'm going to use it on this Yupo paper. I'm going to use the drip alcohol method and the spray alcohol method with a hair dryer and see which one I prefer most. And remember, while we're watching this, it's real easy for me to answer questions in the chat box. So if you have any, ask away. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just drip this randomly on the paper. I'm going to drip alcohol with my eyedropper onto the paper to make it thin and last a little bit longer. And then I'm going to turn on my hair dryer and blow it from the back. for me and see what happens. Sorry about the hair dryer. So I'd like to demonstrate a two-way paper. I'm practicing this on paper at first. I have to unlock my sprayer with the spray. So can you see how it's making these kind of like waves of color in it as I'm blowing it in one direction? That's actually, I think it's called tidal wave technique. And if I really wanted that to really be emphasized, I would only blow from one direction. However, what I did in this video was I blew it from multiple directions to see if I could get it to spread different ways. I'm going to go past the dryer a little bit here. Oh, that was it. All right, any questions on that one? Okay, now I'm going to show you that same technique applied to the glass block. And really any flat, this process I think would work with anything that is flat. I think on a rounded, like a cup or a mug, it might not work as well because I think it would run, but this method works good on any flat glass. Okay, I've got my glass block and I've got some paper towel underneath that, hoping the towel will help you see it a little bit better. And I've got my use the towels this time, making the bottle shaking, and then we'll just drip it in. Randomly, drip on my orange. Colors, by the way. I'm going to see if I can get it to react with the sprayed alcohol. I'm going to do it from a kind of top down. Be liberal. And then I'm going to take my hair dryer and I'm going to blow it.
If you don't use a hair dryer, how long will it take to dry before you can put another coat on?
That's a great question. Let me see if I can pause it for just a second here. So the answer to that is, I think I want to say it was 7 to 10 seconds, they say. It's fast drying because it's alcohol based. That was what I read online, was 7 to 10 seconds. I found in reality, after 7 to 10 seconds, there were still wet spots. And if you added the spray alcohol to it, it makes it last even just a little bit longer. I would say just in this case where I'm using a lot of ink and a lot of alcohol, I think it probably still would have been solidly dry within 2 minutes.
So did you do a project that just had without the alcohol spray and just like with the drops, perhaps? Or did everything use the same technique?
The one there's all different techniques. The one that I did just the alcohol ink and no alcohol, isopropyl alcohol was the blot method. That dried really fast. In fact, my first attempt at it, I didn't have the ink even wet enough to get it on there good. And that one, it did really truly dry. I bet it was less than a minute and it was solidly dry. Oh, what did I do? And it's a brown. So I'm adding another color. I'm adding brown here. Because it's so translucent, I kept adding and adding and adding. And that's fun too. really wanted to even add just a little more snails to it. I might drip some of these silver metallics onto it. Let's see what happens with that. And this time, instead of spraying it, I'm going to take my drug and I'm going to just lightly go on top of those and see if I can get them to react. Some fun.